She said it so calmly that for a moment I thought I'd misheard her. We were standing in the kitchen, sunlight spilling through the blinds, 2 mugs of coffee cooling between us. "I'm not obligated to make you happy," Claire said, tucking a loose strand of hair behind her ear like she'd rehearsed the line. My throat tightened, but I forced a smile. "I never asked you to be responsible for my happiness, Claire." She shrugged. "Then stop acting like you did." For months, our marriage had felt like living in a house where every door was locked from the inside. We talked, but not really. We touched, but without warmth. The silence between us had a heartbeat of its own. Steady, heavy, impossible to ignore. I remember thinking that morning, she's already gone. Her body was there, but her spirit was elsewhere, detached, rehearsing detachment like a craft. The night before, I'd spent 3 hours trying to fix the leaky faucet in the bathroom. She walked past me 3 times without a word. No thank you, no need help. Nothing. When I finally gave up and sat on the floor, hands raw, she looked down and said, "You get frustrated so easily." That's when I knew she didn't see me anymore. Only my flaws through a fog of resentment. Her words the next morning, "I'm not obligated to make you happy," were the final confirmation of something I'd been sensing. She wasn't trying to hurt me. She simply didn't care. I didn't respond immediately. I stared at her, memorizing her expression, the practiced calm of someone who'd been waiting to deliver a verdict. Then quietly I said, "Then I won't waste my life trying to make you happy either." Something flickered in her eyes. Not guilt, not surprise, just recognition, as if she'd expected that line too. She turned away, picked up her phone and scrolled, pretending to read something important. That was the day I decided to stop negotiating with indifference. For years I'd measured love in effort, flowers after arguments, weekend trips to reconnect, long texts she never replied to. Every gesture, every compromise had been an investment in a version of us that only I believed still existed. Now, standing in that cold kitchen, I realized effort means nothing when the other person has already withdrawn their emotional capital. That afternoon I went to work like usual, smiled through meetings. But inside I kept replaying her words, the precision of them. It wasn't even anger that burned. It was clarity. When I returned home, she was on the couch watching a show, her laughter loud, mechanical. On the table lay her phone, buzzing every few minutes. She didn't reach for it immediately. She waited, letting it ring once, twice, then casually checked the screen before smiling faintly. It wasn't hard to connect the dots. I didn't ask who it was. I didn't need to. People who are emotionally gone always have somewhere else to be, even when they're sitting right in front of you. Over the next few days, I played my role perfectly. I cooked, cleaned, asked about her day. She answered in one-word replies. At night, she turned her back, phone glowing under the sheets, but I wasn't angry anymore. I was collecting evidence, not against her, but against my own denial. The last piece came on a Wednesday night. Her phone connected to the Bluetooth in our car while she fetched something from the kitchen. A man's voice spilled through the speakers, soft and intimate. "Last night was perfect. I can still smell your perfume." I didn't move, didn't shout. I just sat there staring at the phone, the timestamp, the message. When she came back and saw the screen lit up, she froze. Her lips parted, but no words came. The silence that followed was longer than any fight we'd ever had. I stood up, looked at her once, and said, "You're right, Claire. You're not obligated to make me happy, but you were never supposed to make me feel worthless either." She didn't chase after me when I left the room. She didn't cry or try to explain. Just silence, heavy, suffocating silence that said more than any apology ever could. I walked outside, the cool night air biting at my skin, my thoughts sharpening into something dangerously clear. For the first time in years, I wasn't afraid of losing her. I was afraid of losing myself if I stayed. I drove aimlessly that night, through empty streets and neon-lit intersections, thinking about the man I used to be before this marriage drained the color out of me. I thought about how many times I'd silenced my instincts just to keep the peace, how many times I'd been told that I was too sensitive, too demanding, or too emotional, all while she built walls around her heart and called them boundaries. By the time I pulled back into the driveway, I already knew what I had to do. Claire was asleep on the couch, her phone still in her hand. I stood there for a moment, watching her. She looked peaceful. Ironic, considering the wreckage she'd left in her wake. I didn't take the phone. I didn't scroll through the messages. I didn't need more proof. The truth, once seen, doesn't need a replay. I went upstairs, packed a single bag. Just clothes, my passport, and a small photo of us from when we actually smiled without forcing it. Then I sat at the desk, opened my laptop, and typed a short letter. You were right, Claire. You're not obligated to make me happy. But marriage isn't about obligation, it's about care. And when care disappears, love dies quietly. I hope you find whatever you were looking for. I'm done looking for you. I left the letter on the counter beside her phone, right next to the cold cup of coffee she'd ignored that morning. Then I walked out. No drama, no shouting, no revenge scene, just finality. For days I stayed at a small Airbnb across town. She didn't call, didn't text. That told me everything I needed to know. I checked my bank account, saw a few unusual transfers, and quietly froze the joint one. Not out of spite, out of self-preservation. A week later, she sent a message. So you're just walking away? After everything? I typed back, exactly because of everything. Then I blocked her. It's strange how quickly peace returns when chaos leaves your life. Mornings became bearable again. I started running before work, cooking simple meals, even laughing at small things. The emptiness she left behind wasn't painful anymore, it was space. Space to rebuild. Months passed. Friends asked what happened, but I rarely told the full story. I'd just say, we stopped being on the same side. That usually ended the conversation. One evening, while I was leaving the gym, I saw her name flash across my phone. Unknown number, but I recognized the typing style in the preview. I made a mistake. Can we talk? I didn't open it. I didn't need closure. I'd already built it. The truth is, people who say I'm not obligated to make you happy have already decided to stop trying. They confuse love with independence and pride with strength. What they don't realize is that real love doesn't demand happiness. It creates it quietly through care, effort, and presence. Weeks later, I got a letter from her lawyer. Divorce papers. I signed them the same day. No hesitation. The pen didn't even shake. After the formalities were over, I sat alone in my apartment, the evening light pouring in through the windows. For the first time in years, the silence felt different. Not suffocating, but calm. I realized happiness had never been her responsibility. It had always been mine, and I'd finally started protecting it. That night I took the old photo of us, the one I'd packed in my bag, and tore it neatly in half. Not out of anger, but as an act of release. I kept my half, the version of me who had tried, loved, and learned. The rest, I let go of it like a leaf in the wind. Because sometimes the most powerful revenge isn't destruction, it's peace. And peace, unlike happiness, doesn't need anyone's permission.